Howdy, it is Armando.Espinosa with Empower Properties team, brokered by eXp Realty, your local Houston real estate agent in the Buffalo Bow City. And we are here to talk about how to complete the T47 affidavit. And if you're watching me, if you're one of my clients, we're going to go straight into it. And towards the end, we're going to explain some of the reasons why. So, and right here, we have the example of the T47 affidavit. You're going to put in the date. It could be today or it could have been last week, if you would have filled it out last week, but we're going to fill it out as if it was today. So April 15th, 2022. The GF number is given by the title company. This is your name, John Doe, address, the address if you live in the property, the address that is being listed to sell. And if you don't live in the property, then you would put your actual address that you currently live in right here. The description of the property is the lot and block, which would be given either by me or your agent. And if you're not working with me, you should be working with me to sell your property, but that's another story. But description of the property is the lot and block, and I will give that information to you. County, Harris County. We're in Houston, Texas, so the county the property is in, either could be Harris, could be Fort Bend, could be Montgomery, could be Galveston County, could be a number of things around the area. Before me, the undersigned notary of the state of Texas. We're in the great state of Texas. The next would be, we are the owners of the property. And this, if you're the owners, definitely, I just put owners, no big deal. The next blank would be, to the best of our knowledge, believe since April, and this would be the date you purchased the property. So say you purchased it last year, April 15th, 2021. So this would be a year ago is when you purchased the property, to the best of your knowledge, since when you bought the property. And this section here could be either none, if you didn't make any changes to the property, except if you didn't make any changes, you just put none. Or if you put maybe a covered, maybe patio, added one bedroom, I would definitely disclose as much information, say 12 by 12. You always want to put the dimensions, inches versus feet, definitely feet, 12. And say you added a concrete patio slab. My last clients, they added a covered patio with a concrete slab at the backyard. So anything that was added after the fact that was not on the survey, you want to disclose. And then down here has some more information of what you're signing. This section here is where you sign the affidavit. However, don't sign it, don't complete it yet until you're in front of the notary. If you sign it before you get to the notary, it's not gonna be valid. So wait till you complete this in front of the notary. All right, there's two owners. You can just put one owner here. Now, sworn and subscribe this. You would put today's date, the 15th day of April. You do that. See, it fills it out for you. And then this is where the notary public, the notary will sign it right here in this line, and they will put their stamp somewhere here, maybe under here. So again, I do not fill this out. You fill this out like the seller's disclosure. You would put the 15th April 2022, since today, if you were to fill it out today, the notary will sign it here. Make sure they sign it. They don't sign it, it's not valid, and they put their stamp somewhere here, maybe under there. So again, date, the title gives you this number, your name, the address you're currently living in. If it's the same as the property, you still put this 123 Main Street. If that's the property that's to be sold, if you don't live in the property, you put your current address that you're living in. The description here, that's the lot and block. County the property is in, Harris County, Texas, and the owners, and the date you purchased the property. This is a year ago. So if these clients purchased it a year ago, and if you added anything, this is where you disclose everything you added after the fact that's not on the survey. If you didn't add anything, then you just put none, which says none, sign it here, and put the date, the day, the month, and the year. And that's it. And if you have any questions, if you're my clients, that should outline everything, how to do it. If you have any questions, please don't hesitate to reach out, 281-455-8412. Now, we're going to get into why it's important to have the T47 affidavit notarized. And again, do not fill this out until you're in front of the notary. Do not sign this section until you're in front of the notary. If you sign it and you're not in front of it, you might as well print it out again because it's not valid. So, reason why the affidavit is important to have with your survey. And it's always good to have a survey accompanied with the listing to make it more attractive. A lot of the buyers are using, if they're going to be using a loan, the lender will want a survey on what they're actually lending the client, the buyer, know the boundaries on the lot and block and what they're actually giving the money to. And so if the survey is submitted, then this form should also be submitted notarized even before an offer is submitted. So the buyers should initial somewhere around here that they've seen this. They should also initial the survey that they've seen it. If they don't, send it back to the buyer's agent. Say, please, thank you very much. I need these two documents, the survey and the T47 initial, because I want your buyers to understand that maybe there are some changes here somewhere, and so I want the buyers to be notified everything. So second piece is the I'm gonna fit this in the window here. Now, this is the 1-to-4 residential offer contract that you will eventually see when we go under contract. And I would have already explained this to you because this is a really important piece of the offer, okay? So C, survey, okay? Survey must be registered professional land surveyor to the title company and buyer's lender. Remember I talked about the buyer's lender? Check one box only. Okay, so number one is the one where buyers have a loophole in getting out of the contract. There's about 32 different ways on how buyers can get out of the contract, and this is one major one, okay? And this is negotiable. Within X amount of days after the effective date of this contract, seller shall furnish to buyer and title company seller's existing survey of the property and residential real property affidavit, the T47 affidavit, right here. If seller fails to furnish the existing survey or affidavit within the time prescribed, buyer shall obtain a new survey at seller's expense no later than 3 days prior to the closing. Okay, if the existing survey or affidavit is not acceptable to the title company or buyer's lender, buyer shall obtain a new survey at either seller's or buyer's expense no later than the 3 days prior to the closing date. Okay, so this paragraph has a lot of things to unpack here. So if this box is checked, if you're a listing agent, you want to pay attention to this paragraph. So if this is checked, you say, okay, we have a lot of times they put 5 days, 3 days, 7 days. It's definitely different. So say it's 5 days. Within 5 days after the effective date of the contract, seller should furnish to buyer and title company seller's existing survey of the property and the T47, the residential affidavit T47. Okay, they both have to be accompanied. That's why sellers, my clients, we have to have, if you're going to provide the survey, we have to have the T47 affidavit within X amount of days. Say if it's 5 days. We don't want to be rushing, the 5 days before this is due. Okay, if you fail, if your listing agent fails to furnish, or not the listing agent, but your listing agent should advise you to get the T47 affidavit pretty much the day of when you sign the listing agreement. You get all the documents, you get all the, of course, it's going to take a day or two to get the survey, but I'd have a mobile notary come to the home, just sign it really quickly and get it over with. If seller fails to furnish the existing survey or affidavit within the time frame prescribed, buyers shall obtain a new survey at seller's expense no later than 3 days prior to the closing date. Okay, so this line here, if seller fails to furnish the existing survey or affidavit within a time prescribed, in the beginning we have to have these both, and, okay, and then this section is or. So the thing is, we have to have both of these things submitted, okay, and notarized. Buyer shall obtain a new survey at seller's expense. So I don't want my sellers to be paying for anything that they don't need to pay for, okay? No later than 3 days prior to the closing date. So sometimes it takes surveyors 3 days to schedule, say it's 3 days, and I've heard it takes a week to get back. And if closing, you just don't want to go there, okay? So if the existing survey or affidavit is not acceptable to title company or buyer's lenders, buyer shall obtain a new survey at, and I'm the listing agent, I want to make sure the buyer's expense no later than 3 days prior to closing date, because I don't want my seller clients to have to pay anything, okay? So if I'm the listing agent and I have everything in order and the buyer agent wants to fill this out, sure, we have. And of course, all of my clients, if they have a survey, they're getting the affidavit notarized. So if I'm the listing agent, I say, okay, go ahead and fill out paragraph 1 if you want, check this, put 1 day if you want, 1 day, put an hour, okay? Then then I want the buyers to pay, because sometimes the lender doesn't like the survey for some reason. Who knows? I'm not the lender. So I always want the buyer to pay. Now, if I'm a buyer's agent, I want the seller to pay, because I don't want my buyer to be paying anything. But I'm a solid listing agent. This is what I focus on. So I'm going to have the buyer pay for a new survey if the lender doesn't like it and it gets rejected, okay? Now, since I am a listing agent, I focus on my seller clients. I am always opting in for number 2, because A and B, we have the survey, we have the T47 affidavit, we have everything set, so the buyer should not have to worry about anything. And so I want the buyer's agent to check this within, say, 3 days after the effective date of this contract. Buyer shall obtain a new survey at buyer's expense. Buyer is deemed to receive the survey at the date of actual receipt or the date specified in this paragraph, whichever is earlier, okay? So whenever my clients are under contract, within 1 day after the effective date of this contract, buyer shall obtain a new survey. So they can do what they want. That's fine. It's on the buyer's dime. So that's why it's important, my seller clients, to have the T47 affidavit notarized if you're going to provide the survey, okay? And if you're my client, I am always trying to get that affidavit notarized as soon as possible after we get all the listing documents in order. But other than that, it's Armando.Espinosa with Empower Properties team, powered by eXp Realty, your local real estate agent. And I'm always here for you. You can always give me a call, text, email. My direct line is 281-455-8412. Other than that, y'all have an amazing day. Take care. Bye.